yeah, this is this. And I was going to stop making videos and just after the whole announcement of the Wii U's event coming out in September 13th and all that. But then all of a sudden, bam! New announcement came from Apple. September 12th, the day before Nintendo's Wii U event. Yeah, really. It's, of course, not the first time that Apple has gone a complete conflict with Nintendo like this. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Apple, and I like my iPod Touch. If it's ever been gonna get an update, and well, considering the simple facts that the Power Macs have finally been updated after so many years of not even being touched, it seems that Apple seems to finally be listening to their customers, mainly with Mountain Lion, where they're not going to try to implement so many iOS crap in there. I mean, yeah, they still got the Twitter app and the Facebook app, which are completely useless and I don't use. And yeah, I'll admit it. Notifications is a useful application, but that's more taking over Growl's area. But I really like Dictator. But I've said all this before. Thing is that Apple's new event, which, says 12, and with the 5 underneath it, it's blatantly obvious. First of all, we all knew. I mean, I knew that it was going to come in about the month of September. If you watch in my previous videos, I've actually mentioned this. And Apple was going to have an event somewhere on September. I just didn't know when or where. And of course, most analysts are saying that Apple's going to still show up with that Apple television set. Yeah, Apple's going to end up also filing itself for bankruptcy. Because apparently this is what people think is going to replace the gaming console, is a giant television set. An LED television set with the lifespan of maybe 3 to 4 years before, the coloring starts running out and it just stops working. Yeah, that's what Apple's going to do. And also make you pay for a giant fucking television set that you really don't need in your fucking living room. And not forgetting that the smart TVs are not exactly a thriving market. I mean, to understand how bad the smart television sets are selling right now, it's one of the main reasons why Sony is in the fucking hole. That and they haven't really had any real money in the last couple of years, starting when the PlayStation 3 came out. And then their money loss is going straight into their electronic department, mainly the television sets. Basically, the smart TVs are ruining them. Samsung is having, I guess, ended up selling more televisions than they did. And the other problem is that with Xbox and PS3, which does everything that the smart TV can do, you can but with an actual choice, you can stream it. And not forgetting the ill-fated Apple television set, there's just no real reason to go with a smart TV. I mean, just get yourself a nice set-top smart box and you're done. No, basically, everybody's going to be talking about what Apple's going to be showing on the 12th. My best guess? Yeah, well, definitely it's going to be the iPhone 5. We've known this thing was coming from a mile away. Everybody has by now. And of course, another completely useless and somewhat sellable Apple TV, even though your Xbox can do twice as more what Apple Television can do. The main thing here is that Apple needs to invent a gaming console to compete into the Xbox and PS3, and if they don't do this, well, they're not in the fucking set-top box entertainment market. They're just in some, iPod giant fucking, let's just hook this small little device up that does really relatively nothing, but puts iTunes on your television set. And there's already a $30 connector that will do that for you with your iPhone, iPod Touch, or iPad. Kind of worthless. I'm talking about Apple TV, not the $30 connector. And if they go with the bigger screen, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be surprised either which way. Because we all know Apple follows Samsung and Samsung follows Apple. And yes, you got the batshit analysts who says they're the real experts, who says that everybody wants a giant screen, even though it's not true. Because, these analysts make half this shit up, just as they always do. But yet, everybody ends up believing them and thinking that this is the correct information. Yeah, what am I? I can't fight these people. They make more money to get them up and just say a bunch of bullshit and then make a bunch of people actually believe that bullshit. Of course, this is the same group of people that says online streaming video games or cloud video gaming is going to be the wave of the future. Yeah. Anybody seen what's happened to OnLive lately? Oh, yeah, that's right. They collapsed. Of course, they were also the same set of people who said that the PS Vita was going to beat the 3DS and that Nintendo was going to become a software company. I'm still waiting on that one. Oh, yeah, that's right. The PS Vita collapsed completely. And as for the 3DS and the 3DS XL, which Michael Pachter personally said was going to fail miserably, sales were going up. Which also brings me into my next prediction about Apple's little opening thing. I think they're beginning to realize they're beginning to realize that leaving the handheld market and just going into the mobile phone department, but probably was not the greatest idea in the world. That they're probably going to have to release an update to the iPad, or I mean the iPod Touch. The iPad will be updated later. Because when the iPad finally hit its stride, it was destroying the 3DS or the Nintendo DSi. I mean, it was just taking the entire DS market and just collapsing it one after another. But then all of a sudden, Apple stopped updating the iPod Touch, and now Nintendo's handheld market is thriving and getting bigger. As for the PS Vita, though, well, it's not exactly thriving. All I heard is maybe they got like one hit game that sold a bunch more PS Vitas, but it's just not doing anything. It's just dead in the water. But unless Apple wants to help, Nintendo sell more of their products, they're going to have to come up with a new iPod Touch to compete. I'm sorry, but I think Apple's beginning to realize they're in the competing markets now. Of course, there are other rumors that the iPhone 5 will end up having probably new services like with Virgin and T-Mobile. We'll see on the 12th. I don't know about that. Of course, in make-believe land, or Michael Patrick's brain, apparently, Sony is not in financial trouble at all, and Nintendo is completely about ready to become a software company and just announce it to the world, and Xbox is about ready to take over as a media device on everything. And Nintendo has lost money not because of sales of their Wii's, but because of sales of their software, which, by the way, is bullshit. I checked. By the time the Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, it really skyward out there. I know Skyward Sword didn't sell well, and neither did the games from Project Rainfall, but I just blame that on hypocrites. But, if everybody goes with this whole come out with our gaming consoles by 2014, and I watched somebody else's video, and I'm not going to put up names, but he basically said that the gaming industry is starting to become stagnated, where we're basically just playing the same game over and over and over and over, and we got nothing new. And he's right. It's become beyond stagnated. That if they end up waiting until this 2014 release and their new PS4 flops, by my understanding, Sony is no longer going to be in the console business anymore. They will be completely and utterly dropped out. I mean, they're practically already out of the handheld market, which is laughable at best. I mean, the PlayStation Vita is a joke. Even though it's got almost the same type of graphics as the PS3, which, by the way, another problem. If consoles are starting to be graphically beaten by handhelds, you've got to seriously think about updating. Yeah, I know the Wii had handheld-like graphics, but it's a little hard to explain because when the Wii came out, the graphics cards had a massive jump in graphics back then. Of course, this time around, they're not going to really have a big, massive punch like they did in 2005 when Microsoft pushed out their new gaming consoles, because it's mostly to do with fixing a little problem of shadow rendering and putting microscopes to the screen and looking at these tiny little shadow lanes to see how much anti-aliasing can be occurring onto an on-screen. And mostly it's just people looking at pictures instead of actually playing a game or having fun anymore. It's become this argument of my picture looks better than your picture. No, mine looks better than yours. And being someone who owns a Mac and a Wii, I can honestly tell you, I just don't care because I stopped looking at pretty pictures. I wanted to actually play the fucking game. Pretty pictures do not matter to me. If we end up just making it where games have to be pretty pictures over actual having fun on the game, then there's no point in gaming anymore. It's just become nothing more than a high-tech beauty show, and who the fuck cares? I didn't get up and buy a gaming console to play in a goddamn beauty show. I bought a gaming console to play a game. So I do think that Apple's going to come out with a new iPod Touch. They have to get back into the market that 3DS is pretty much killing in. And I'm happy that Apple's making an effort to listen to their customer base again instead of cutting them off the hilt like they were doing a couple of years ago. I don't want to get into it. But anyways, I'm also going to say, Zephyrnix, I'm sorry I didn't hear about you getting ill and all that other stuff. I hope you do get better. But, yeah, I had no idea it happened. Well, that's all I have. See ya.